You are listening to the sounds of the Right On Network.
Hello and welcome to episode 12 of On the Record Jams, brought to you by the Right On Network. I'm AJ.
And this is Arthur.
And hey, guys, welcome back to On the Record Jams, episode 12. AJ and Arthur are here with you. And one of the reasons why we're here with you, the Right On Network, we've been pretty much going strong for 9 years, starting all the way back in 2015 with our flagship podcast, Straight Out of Gallifrey, a Doctor Who podcast where we talk about those Doctor Who episodes that feature other Time Lords. And we've been able to grow and expand. And one of the reasons why this here podcast exists is because of our patrons, subscribers. So I want to give them a shout out. Starting with Alan Wright. He's known as Bold Outlaw on social media. He's a Robin Hood enthusiast. You can also hear him at Straight Out of the Federation of Blake 7 podcast with April and myself. And speaking of April 5K, you can hear her on Straight Out of the Federation of Blake 7 podcast and the Manhattan Project, where we talk about Seinfeld and Friends. We have the sound of the Right On Network, Delvin Sims. He's also known as DJ Merc. You're hearing his music right now. MERC, check him out on Apple Music and other music platforms. We have the Podcrasher himself, Tim Price. He is the Podcrasher, and you can hear him on The Outcasters talking about Batman and the Outsiders. We have friend on the Right On Network, Cluck Trent, Mark Blair over in Australia. Hello, Paul. We have Paul Hicks. He does Waiting for Doom, DCOCD, The Gary Show, and Dial Left for Flanger. We appreciate you, Paul. He's been with us since 2021, and he's the first person on social media to really give us a shout out. Right On Network, Paul Hicks. We have Laurel Phillips, the Irredeemable Shag. He's over at the Fire and Water Podcast Network. He does a bunch of stuff over there. Some of it is Once Upon a Geek, Justice League International Bwahaha Podcast, Who's Who Revisited, JSA in the 1990s, and he's also spearheading Justice Society of America, JS April, 85 years of celebrating the first superhero comic team ever, Justice Society of America, 85 years, podcasters and bloggers all across the globe coming together for one common cause, and there will be some Right On Network contributions to that as well. We have Justin Steiner. He's Shoefly Pie. He blogs and at Substack, Shoefly Pie, Justin Steiner, blogging about music. Rick from Jeff and Rick Present, Chris Pine 1, Bill Beer of the Bat Pod, and the great and wonderful Jordan Holt. Guys, thank you for going to patreon.com/Right On Network. We'll put the link in the show notes because you're helping us go and grow in the year 2025 and beyond. Okay, Arthur, so this is episode 12. You know, a lot of albums. There's 12 songs on it. 12 records. So I think this is a good little 12-inch on that vinyl, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've been going strong. Now, wait a minute. You know, when people talk about is something canon or not canon, right? Especially coming from the comic book universe, right? Is that Patreon episode that we did, is that canon? Is that not canon? Should I have said more crazy stuff during that episode?
Yeah, say more crazy stuff with that because, you know, since that was Patreon exclusive and it's off the forbidden path, we can go blue a little bit.
Doggone it. I'll remember that next time.
And there will be a next time. We're going to come up with something, guys. And the people who did listen to it, like Paul and others, they truly appreciate it. So this is something that I'm going to bring on the record. And this is by the early 2000s Brooklyn-based band TV on the Radio. And the record is off the third album, Dear Science. Came out in 2008, and it's called Crying. So in the early 2000s, I was heavy into reading magazines, and I would always see, like when they would do like, hey, top albums of the year, I would see TV on the radio, and there would be articles about them, but I never really paid it any never mind, right? And I remember it was probably during this time, 2008, there was this film called Rachel Getting Married. And it was very annoying. It seemed like, I don't know, like it seemed like something like what people that are right of center think of liberals. It was very annoying. It was like these rich people, this rich family, these first world problems to the utmost. And Rachel was getting married, and they had like this band that was there. Like it was like, hey, everybody is living at this house for a weekend. And it was one of those things like the camera steady moving, so it never stopped. And it was chaos, but it was really like showing an honest portrayal of like, what it would be like at a family's house if they were prepped up and getting ready for a marriage. And like there was a band there, string instruments, and they were kind of playing throughout, so you heard the music the whole time. It was too much. And I remember the woman that was getting married, Anne Hathaway was the sister, and it kind of centered around her a little bit. And her sister Rachel was getting married, and she was getting married to this guy. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, this guy looks like one of them TV on the radio dudes. It was. I didn't realize that. So when I was like, let me just look up TV on the radio, I was like, wait a minute, that dude was from TV on the radio. So I started listening to TV on the radio, and I was like, whoa, man, this music is good. I think it was the first album's called Return to Cookie Mountain. And I just remember seeing that title and seeing that in magazines. I was like, what is this? And then I just started hearing the music. I was like, oh man, this is jamming. So like in those early outs, those early 2000s, Arthur, did this ever come across your radio, just hearing or reading in print TV on the radio?
It's kind of like what you said. They came across my field of vision. And I didn't kind of pay it any, never mind. And then I heard some songs here and there. I saw some performances. I said, oh, okay, yeah, these guys are cool. And then I never took the time to get back into them. So when I saw you, before the show saying, hey, we're going to pick a song from these guys, I'm like, all right, now I'm out of excuses now. Let me do the work. Let me get back into this. Let me see what I missed. And luckily they had a lot of stuff here recently, not so much albums, which is normally what I gravitate towards, but it's really cool that they had a Tiny Desk a few months ago, and I love me some Tiny Desk, if you know me. So, and yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the new MTV Unplugged for this era, right? So if you get out there and you put together a little mini concert, 20 to 30 minutes, you sing a couple of these songs, you get to mix it up, you get to just kind of come play. So I really enjoyed that. And so, yeah, it was, long answer, short answer long is like, no, I wasn't into it at the time, but I knew about this group. I just didn't pay the right kind of attention to them. I was on a completely different lane, but use this platform as an excuse to get into them and do a little research on them.
Yeah, so this is the song Crying. I'll read some lyrics to this. This is a song that is lead singer Kip Malone. And when you were listening to this, you texted this to me. You said that, I like bands where they have multiple singers. And I was like, hey, that's my line. I love that.
Yeah, I love it too. Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, it keeps you on your toes. And like, especially, I don't know, like let's say you start listening to them on the ground floor or whatever. It's just like, okay, well, I don't know what to expect song to song, because maybe this person might be the lead singer, maybe that person might. So I just find that interesting. So
right, I imagine that's interesting too, from a group dynamic, right? Because when you're writing these songs, especially when you're trying to put together an album, right? It's like, okay, how do we get our message across when we know we're going to potentially have alternating voices? Do you try to keep it even? Do you just say, hey, when the song calls for this voice that we're going to use it? Are we going to trade off sometimes? Are we going to go out of our way to keep people guessing? Like, it's interesting to have that dynamic in a band. So I'm wondering how they handled it.
Same here, because anytime there's a band where there are multiple singers and multiple songwriters, I always wonder, is it a competition to get on? Or is it like, oh, thank goodness we have multiple people, because, and that was enough for an album. Like, okay, you contributed 4, they contributed 3, I contributed 5, we got an album. Okay, thank goodness. So I will always wonder, like, what side of the coin is the band on? So this is TV on the radio crying. Laugh in the face of death under masthead. Hold your breath through late breaking disasters. Next to news of the trite and the codes and the feeling that meant to be noble. Like coke in the nose of the nobles. Keep it alive. And the wrath and the riots and the races on fire and the music for tanks with no red lights in sight got you crying, oh, whining, oh my, oh my, oh my. Goad is another word for culture, leads to fattening of the vultures till this bird can barely fly. And Mary and David smoke drugs in the trenches while Zion's behavior never gets mentioned. The writings on your wall. And the blood on the cradle and the ashes you wade through got you calling God's name in vain. Leave the damned to the damned, it all. And it's got you crying, oh, whining, oh, my. Broken rose, colored glasses, can't see for the thorns, and you just can't stand no more. What a clumsy kind of love. Time to take the wheel and the road from the masters. Take this car, drive it straight into the wall, build it back up from the floor, and stop our crying, oh, whine, oh, my. Our crying. Still you try. So, Arthur, when I said, hey, man, I want to do this record called Crying by TV on the Radio, and you listened to it, what was going on in your mind?
Well, you come into this is a wild place to come in, right? Because they have different topics, but this album and this song specifically, like they really had some specific things they wanted to get off their chest. And so when you hear these type of lyrics, I think coming up with Prince and Michael Jackson, and I think people have an idea of those artists and what they sang about. But then, you try to remember we were younger when those guys were doing like their core work. So when you're 7, you just hear the music, you hear some singing, you see a weird video, and you kind of not paying attention. And then you get a little bit older and you go back and listen and you're like, wait, Billie Jean is about what? Little Red Corvette is about what? Wait, whoa, I didn't know it was about that. That's kind of crazy. I think like these, like you're not going to get caught off guard as quick now. Like with older ears, you're almost like waiting for it, right? Like what is the thing going to be? And so, for this song, I pulled up the lyrics as I was listening. And the mood of it doesn't match what they're saying. I think that's kind of the main thing. You could get caught off guard. Like they tried to slide the peel into a piece of steak for you. But, I was into this because I know it's like, okay, this is some good songwriting. This is some good sneaky stuff coming in. And then, once you listen to it 3 or 4 times, you're like, oh, okay, this isn't sneaky. Like they're saying what they're saying. And you just have to take yourself back time capsule style to say, okay, what was happening during the time of them releasing this album? And then it all makes sense.
You're dealing with, we're in Afghanistan, the war on terror, the George Bush era, especially with their first album, like that very first song, I Was a Lover Before This War. It just sounds like chaos. And I like what you were saying where when you first played it, like, hey, I don't know what any of that means. I think that may be even been the first time I ever read the lyrics while I was reading it on this podcast, Arthur. It sounds like, like someone's doing like a Prince impression, like vocally, right? Like vocal delivery. And then, it's jamming and, okay, it's kind of weird. Yeah, okay, I get it. Like, it's this Brooklyn-based band, and they're like, hey, we can be America's answer to Radiohead. Okay, sure, all right, yeah. I'm kind of listening to it on that level, with this band, like sometimes they do stuff. It sounds like soul music, R&B. Sometimes it sounds like digital blips, Radiohead stuff. Like, okay, yeah, I think I get it. Yeah, sure, why not? But this song, I just think it jams. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good song. I think I like what you're talking about too, like that Prince aesthetic. I think it's the guitar. It feels like that mid '80s Minneapolis guitar sound. Mm-hmm. So in general, people view that as kind of the Prince sound, which I would guess imagined Prince would be happy to hear that, right? Because I think the big problem with the late '80s that Prince felt like so many people were doing the Minneapolis sound that he was like, I wonder is anybody ever gonna associate this sound with me because it's me. And it's funny to think now, 30, 35 years later, it's like you hear that guitar and you immediately think, okay, this is Prince.
Yeah, this song, like, it has a lot of space to it. This record, like, it gets intense, it constricts, and then it expands, and it gets tighter and expands again. And I always think it's an easy, fun listen. I really haven't heard this song in a long time until this. I've seen this band live twice. One in Germany. The performance was great. And this was like during this time, 2008, 2009. And then I saw them again in Houston, and it's just like, man, it's really a crime that these guys aren't bigger.
Right. And that's what I was trying to look and see as well. Because sometimes just because you haven't had a big imprint on an artist, you might have just missed it, right? Like they might have had a run and they were big, but they never had like the kind of like what happens now. Like the song is on a movie and then you go quote unquote viral, or you're in the back of a TikTok and then now everybody kind of knows who you are. But you know, their core work is before that was happening to people all the time. So it's like, well, but yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm glad they kept going, right? And I'm glad it looks like they had love in the circle that made sense for them to have love for them. So they get to do a lot of different work and they pop up in different places, even when it's not just their core work as a group. So
they can
pretty happy
pull off
for them still.
Yeah, they're good songwriters. They produce their music well. They're able to pull it off live. It's darn near a shame that like they don't have performances on like a BET Awards. Like I really think it's a loss to the culture that these guys are like put up there. Unless they're cussing people out or something, like I may not know. It's like, no, dude, we reach out to them and like they're difficult. Like, okay, but I'm just saying, like, and this all came out during that, Y2K New York explosion. Because I'm telling you, like, I would always see these guys on magazines, and the band consists of, I know I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Tunde Adebimp. And he's mostly the main singer. We have David Sadek. I know he's involved in a lot of songwriting. I think David Sadek, he wasn't at that Tiny Music performance. Kit Malone, who is the lead singer on this song, the record, Crying. Jaleel Button and Gerard Smith, based out of Brooklyn, New York. And it says... with Gerard Smith, he was the bass player and he passed away in 2011. So I can see how that may have kind of stopped them and held them up for a bit. But yeah, man, they always do interesting stuff. It's always rewarding to revisit the music. It's always rewarding to like see what they're doing next. It's good stuff. Like, were you able to hear this a couple of times and because a lot of the music is dense. Like, some of the music is straight up. Like, it's like, okay, this is like a love song, or it's just straightforward soul R&B. But then some of the music is dense where, like, even a song like this, I can see it being rather trying to someone. So, did you find this, like, was this an easy listen? Was this kind of like man, this is kind of dense. I got to peel back the layers to this. I don't know if I'm even used to it yet.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm a music nerd, right? For a person that's can't play anything. I really like music. I really like when people try to sneak things into their lyrics. And again, they try to hide a heavy subject behind retro Prince guitar licks. I'm like, wait a minute, buddy. Like, I knew I liked them as soon as I was like, I don't know if this is the right song to come in on, but I like them anyway. And so, yeah, I listened to this quite a few times. And then I also, again, I went to that Tiny Desk performance, caught a couple of other performances, and then went through another set of songs. And then I was starting to go through the albums as well. So, no, man, this is what I like, man. This is kind of catnip for me. So I still got a lot of work to do to work through, even though they don't have like a crazy absurd catalog of 20 albums, but I know they sneak around. They have some EPs. They have quite a few EPs. So it's just a matter of if I can get my hands on those. It looks like the albums are easy to get your hands on. I mean, they were on Interscope. So that's another thing that's interesting. It's like, well, yeah, it's like you said. It's like, well, wait, if they were on Interscope for most of their stuff, I mean, the core, like the three albums, like including this, Dear Science, is on Interscope. I'm thinking, man, maybe they just didn't get the push. Maybe they just didn't have the budget. Maybe they didn't get in people's face. Because you think about this subject matter in 2008, like, I don't know if BET Awards would have caught them, but it seems like they should have been somewhere to where you couldn't have just accidentally missed them. Yeah.
I know that they gave a couple of hot red performances on David Letterman. Like Wolf Like Me, that's one of their hit singles where they performed on there. It's breathtaking. Like, even David Letterman was like, woo, man, wow. TV on the radio, this record, Crying, you can listen to it on headphones, you can blast it in your car. I think it's for a lot of occasions. I think if you threw a party and the party was going and you mix this in there, I think people would just kind of keep mingling, keep dancing. I don't think this would hold things up. I could be wrong. Maybe people would go like, wait, what's going on?
But no, I think wouldn't, because it's sneaky enough.
Yeah. Like, it got horns in there. It has like a little digital melody at the end that brings it all back together. Like this ongoing theme that sums it up at the end. You got like this soul singing where it sounds sincere, but it might be messing around. I don't know. What'd you think about like Kit Malone, the vocalist, his singing?
Oh yeah, I liked all of that. And again, I'm a sucker for context, and especially if you're trying to sneak it in there, because like you're saying, you could get disarmed by the way the song sounds. But then I was like, no, something's going on here. And then I pulled up the lyrics because I'm gonna do that. And so I caught on pretty quick. And I think the big challenge was just trying to place it. Because you think about it, man, 2008 is such a long time ago.
It's crazy.
Like like that number sounds more recent than it really is, but you're talking 17 years ago. So, I mean, we're at the age at this point where you could say 17 years ago, you got to think like, okay, what was going on during that time? Was also, that a political thing? Where were you at in your life? Like all of those things.
Also, you in 2008. Let's say you went to a grocery store. There's a lot of people in that grocery store, they weren't alive in 2008. Yeah. So that, just to put in perspective, like, okay, but because the music is so well produced, like that's the whole thing. Like, they don't do lo-fi stuff. The music is so well produced. I mean, to me, it sounds like it's made today. Maybe a younger person like, dude, get out of here, dude. This stuff sounds dusty and dated. But it sounds like it could be released whenever. If it was released in 1955 or 1966, yeah, sonically, you'd be like, whoa, wait a minute, this is future music. But the music, sonically, if it came out today, no one would go like, oh, this sounds like it's... No, because it's Radiohead. It's, hey, we're trying to make music that we think people will go listen to in the future. But it has these in-the-past sensibilities. And that's where they get you.
Yeah, right. That student of the game style music. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's definitely what these guys are, because they seem like, for the arts, they seem like left-brain people mathematically putting a puzzle together to put a record together.
Yeah,
That's what
very
it
much
seemed like.
so.
It seemed like a bunch of nerds in the studio. They got the records. They know the reference. Like, make this sound like Marvin Gaye when he was doing this. Make this sound like this world beat music, prog rock band. They did this. Like, I can see them like making these references, and just kind of knowing, like they're going in the studio knowing what they want, because they're producing themselves. I believe David Sadek, he's producing them, and yeah, these are guys that could pretty much. I bet they're producing and engineering themselves.
Probably would be. And always something else too. Like I like when you change the chorus to go with the narrative of the song. Right? So we're talking about we got you crying, and then they talk about what they're gonna do on the end of the last verse, and then it's like, hey, it's gonna stop us from crying. Cause like, hey, we're gonna do something about this crying. Like this is what we're saying. Like, this is our rebel yell. We need to do something about this. And when we do that, then maybe we won't be crying and whining.
So we're in the 90s and it's getting revved up. And then once we go to that Y2K, it's like, okay, the hereafter, like, okay, well, now what? And I didn't feel it at the time, but now looking back on it, it seemed like it was like a lot of emptiness. Even for major cities, you would think like, okay, major cities, all nook and crannies should be occupied. And they weren't, because everyone did the, hey, let's escape to the suburbs in the 80s. That whole thing of young professionals returning to the city, returning to like urban life, that's slowly starting to come back. So now in 2025, these major American cities, yeah, like every nook and cranny of it is being used. But a lot of these places, like even, so there is a book and they made it a documentary, and I think it's great. It's called Meet Me in the Bathroom. And the book is comprised of a woman that worked for Spin Magazine. Is comprised of all her interviews. It gives you, it paints a picture of New York City, the music scene and like the culture from 2000 to 2011, like in rock music. When you read it, even in New York City, like the number one populated city in America, it was still like wide open. Like there are places that were not used and abandoned. And then you get this revival of the young professionals moving back to city life out of the suburbs. Written by Lizzie Goodman. They made a documentary about it. And these guys, TV and the radio, they're in it. They're in the book. They're in the movie. And it gives you, I think I talked about this on this podcast before. It kind of gives you, or for us, it makes us remember like, oh yeah, it was like that. And then for people who weren't around during that time period, like, oh, okay, so that's what the early 2000s were like. That's what, like, it was like we were trying to figure it out again. Because as far as like pop culture, I think like modern pop culture, let's say it started like 1945, 1955. So it's like, man, almost every idea is done under the sun. Like Michael Jackson, he moonwalked. So it's kind of like, okay, what do we do after this? Like you're doing some like derivative of it, but like, what else can you do? Like, what else? So I think like those early 2000s is like, okay, well, let's do a start over and then build this thing back up. And it seems like that's what TV on the radio was doing. Like, are we going to do like this dystopian future, or are we like, like, where do we go from here? So it's a lot of like wonder, a lot of chaos, a lot of anger, a lot of melody. And I think that's what we get out of this record, Crying. I think folks either pause this and go back and listen to it again. But yeah, listen to this record. Come back and email us at ontherecordjams@gmail.com and let us know, like, hey, what'd you think about this by TV on the radio or any of their other music? I'd be interested to see what the listeners think. Final thoughts about this one, Arthur?
Yet another jam on a stack of jams, man. And it gives us an opportunity to like you talk about, it's a shame. It's cool that they got a chance to play. And again, they have a Tiny Desk performance from 3 months ago. So it's not like these guys are off, like they had to sell their guitars or whatever, right? But it's like, it's sometimes it feels like a shame that some of these groups don't get a chance to be bigger at some point. But, the good thing about now is access to the music is really high, because imagine if they existed in the 70s or early 80s, there might be a chance that if they never got big, that music goes out of print. And then you don't get a good chance to get to listen to it. And so the music will be lost. So the great thing about these guys, they're not lost. There's enough love for them to do Tiny Desk and do performances, and people are wanting to hear from them again. So when they come out with something else, yeah, they're going to have people ready to hear it. So that's great.
Well, yeah, they're not hurting. It's just, I can't just roll up on people in mixed company and go, hey, TV on the radio. But I believe that we should be able to. So, hey, don't go anywhere. We're going to play this promo about J.S. April. When we come back, we're going to find out what is Arthur putting on the record.
Back in 1940, 8 sensational heroes united to create the world's very first superhero team, the Justice Society of America. Now, 85 years later, we're gathering podcasters and bloggers from around the globe for a month-long celebration in an event we're calling JS April. Throughout April 2025, join dozens and dozens of podcasters and bloggers as they each share their own unique tributes to the original and greatest superhero team. Get ready for an all-star month of beloved characters, fascinating insights, and incredible stories. Follow the action on social media with the hashtag JSApril, and visit our website for a complete list of participating podcasters, bloggers, and what they're each covering at fireandwaterpodcast.com/JSApril.
Hey, welcome back to episode 12 of On the Record Jams, brought to you by the Right On Network. Arthur and AJ are here with you. Hey, they know what's going on. They read the title. What are you bringing on the record, Arthur?
I'm going to do a hip hop love song as an excuse to talk about hip hop love songs and how we ended up getting there. So I'm going to jump in at 1990s Bonita Applebum by Tribe Called Quest. This is from their first album. So, and if you know anything about Tribe, I mean, very important hip hop group, brought a lot of things into focus. They have a lot of children out there in the world that followed up with what they were doing, whether it be production wise, whether it be their approach to the raps. Those guys, I always call it regular dude raps. Like, they weren't trying to be super anything. They weren't the super coolest guy. They weren't the biggest kingpin. They weren't anything. They were just kind of dudes rapping about stuff they wanted to rap about, which for 1990 was kind of a rebellious thing to do, because you kind of had to be something to show up rapping. And they were like, nah, we're not going to do that. And it worked.
So you're talking about A Tribe Called Quest.
Very much so.
Which record is that?
Bonita Applebum.
Hey. Okay, so Arthur, I got to do just a PSA here. Okay. I owe the listeners, you, myself, hip-hop, and A Tribe Called Quest an apology. Because, dude, I didn't know them like I should have known them. So when you said, hey, man, I want us to do Bonita Applebum, I'm like, okay. So I went and I listened to A Tribe Called Quest's whole discography.
Woo.
I listened to Q-Tip's solo work. I listened to Five Dog's solo work. I mean, right. I was putting the work in, and the whole time I was just like, I am an idiot. I don't know what I was on. I operated on the outer rim of A Tribe Called Quest. Did I watch the videos and hear the music? Yeah. But man, no, man. I apologize, and I feel ashamed, because I could have been listening to them my whole life from middle school all the way to now, and I didn't. So I remember in the late 90s, like 1998, they're like, hey, this is our last album, The Love Movement. So I'm like, okay, I was in college. I got the CD, and I probably listened to it a couple of times and never again. And then I listened to it like a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, this is amazing. And then in 2016, they released, Thank You for Your Service, ... We Got It From Here. I believe that's what the album's called.
Yep.
In 2016, guys, I bought this album and I was blown away. I would listen to it over and over and I'm like, holy guacamole. Like, I was very ignorant. I was like, when did they do this? I didn't know they jam like this. Like, just the production on it, the rhyme schemes, and going back and forth, the guest stars, all this. I'm like, I didn't know they did all this. So I was also like, okay, I want to go back and listen to all of Tribe because I just want to see, like, how they go from to this. And one of the things I was kind of gathering is that, okay, so they come in 1990. Like, all right, yeah. And then I was like, oh, they came out and then things changed. And then they come out, release videos, do shows, go away. And then they would come out with another album and then boom, things change. And then like you get to your third album stuff and then you can see like how, okay, now the outside has influenced them. And then you kind of see some changes in their like certain words they choose to use and all this stuff. So, oh, okay. But I was like, oh, I didn't realize like how influential they were to the world. Like the Wayans brothers, their intro. I think even Living Single, like an intro, it kind of was like, wait a minute, this sounds like. So I'm like, oh man, yeah, I was ignorant.
Man, better late than never, man. Better late than never.
So thank you that I'm alive and I was able to experience this before. But yeah, so yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. I really feel ashamed.
Hey man, I miss TV on the radio too. So yeah, you get these great bands and yeah, we fancy ourselves as people that really like music, but sometimes it's just, man, everybody's got blind spots.
Yeah, but this is different. Like TV on the radio, I'm not going to the mailbox and someone going, hey, but A Tribe Called Quest, and I wasn't even actively avoiding them. I think what it was, maybe I thought the music wasn't weird enough because I was all caught up in Wu-Tang Clan. Like I was caught up in some crazy stuff, but for some reason, I don't know why. Like why was I? And I was reading Tribe Called Quest in magazines. Like I know they were always, and Beats, Rhymes, and Life, and Midnight Marauders. That was always the Low End Theory, highly rated. I don't know why I never, like, hey, this group from Queens. Why didn't I check it out?
It's like you said though, but think about the angle I'm talking about, right? The whole regular guy rapping thing. Yeah. I think that's how they were easy to miss because if you think their first 3 albums came out. So you're talking about 1990, 91, and 93. Then they had the gap where you talk about all these crazy things came out. Like think about from 1993 to 1996, how much stuff changed with hip hop. How much more hip hop there was. And so for them to show up in 96 with an album, even that was crazy. Like Beats, Rhymes, and Life didn't, like that was during the era where people were already starting to be really unappreciative of hip hop. Like even the people who swear they love hip hop, they were already starting to compare stuff, rank stuff, and ruin everything for themselves. Like that was already starting to happen by then. So Tribe they didn't have the volume of music really to be in people's face. So it makes sense that they would disappear. I mean, they were on Jive Records too, by the way. So, that's not a label that was known for really doing right by their artists and keeping them up in the limelight either. And you talk about cooperation, not cooperating. Like Tribe wasn't going to play around because they were all about the quality of the music. They were all about the beats and the samples, and they were kind of the last of these guys that had the 2 and 3 samples on one song thing, which, as you can imagine, financially was difficult to do. So yeah, there was a lot of things working against Tribe, but again, because they were the regular guy rappers, they had so many multiple lives after their main run.
And again, I feel like, what was I thinking? Because, all right, so you have John Cho, a lot of people know him from Star Trek, Harold and Kumar. So like John Cho, Martin Freeman, I know him from The Office, and when I say The Office, the British Office. A lot of folks know him from The Hobbit, and Kadeem Hardison of A Different World fame. They are those three, John Cho, Martin Freeman, and Kadeem Hardison. They're my favorite regular dude actors. We're just regular dudes, like you were saying, like, hey, we're not the this, we're not the that. So like when I was watching A Different World as a kid in the 80s, and you had Kadeem Hardison playing Dwayne Wayne, like, yeah, one of his things was like he was like a math expert, but he was kind of like I'm just regular dude. And I always thought that was cool. So again, I don't know why I didn't pick up on the vibe, and that's something that A Tribe Called Quest goes for, and in the 90s using that term, a lot. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I was not thinking. But yeah, Bonita, Applebum. So out of all, so with the Tribe Called Quest, they got all these jams. They got all this. Why Bonita, Applebum?
Well, I wanted an excuse to talk about Tribe.
Yes.
And also, I wanted an excuse to talk about love songs, or whatever you want to call it, girl songs, chick songs, and hip hop. Mm-hmm. Because you think about, by 1990, like, hip hop is still, as far as mainstream goes, still trying to find its place. And so you got people trying to figure out, what kind of songs can I make? What kind of songs should I make? Do I have to do like a whole bunch of rapping? Do I got to be catchy? Do I got to do some singing, which is adorable now, thinking about how much singing there is on hip hop music. Mm-hmm. But like, dudes were trying to figure out what to do. And so you think about it, like Rakim, Coogee Rap, Big Daddy Kane, like larger than life personality, super duper rapping, ultra confident. I got on the suit, I got the rings, I got the crazy big flat top during the time where I got to have the big crazy flat top. Rakim is just like, he's just this dude standing on the street with a mean look on his face doing some killer rapping.
Giving you the mathematics.
Like, yeah, he's sneaking into mathematics, but he's also talking about the crazy street stuff, and you just kind of take him at face value because he's got this persona. And again, the raps are crazy. Like, he's the supreme rapping rapper. Like, I don't got time to be smiling and cracking jokes for you because I'm over here rapping. And Big Daddy Kane was like, I could do that too, but I can also do this dance routine because I'm just smooth like that. I'm just cool. So I can just do whatever I want to do, and it doesn't matter. And LL Cool J was kind of a mix of both. Whereas like my albums, I'm on here cussing, but I got singles too. And I got girl songs. And, I Need Love was 1987. Right? So he's over there talking with a whole lot of air in his voice, or a whole lot of Mace in his voice. And he's just talking about this girl. And man, I need love. And what's going on? And I know I'm LL Cool J, guys, but y'all not going to believe this. I'm kind of lonely now. Which for 1987 is insane. So you come back 3 years after that, and you got these regular dudes. Like, yeah, there's this one lady, and I like her, and I'm going to roll up on her, and I'm going to just try to talk to her. Like, that's kind of a crazy thing for them to do.
I have to do part 2 of my confessions. So that little guitar lick, when I heard that in the Fuji song, I didn't go, oh, that was from Bonita, Applebum. So you want to know what's wild about that, Arthur, is that lets you know, like, we just say, hey, the 90s. We'll just say the 80s. But there's so many segments within those decades. So I remember Bonita, Applebum, and like that being played a lot, and like me even thinking to myself, Bonita, Applebum, I got to put her on. Like, I remember thinking that. But that was what year was that dropped? 1990. So the whole Fugees, the score, when they use that sample in Killing Me Softly, that's 96. like, sometimes you can listen to things passively. And like, usually I'm kind of all or nothing. Like, man, I'm really into this, or no, I don't usually like, I just kind of pedestrian through it. Like, it's like, usually like, no, I'm not into it at all. It's like all or nothing. So it's just kind of crazy where it didn't ring a bell that, wait a minute, I've heard that before, and it was within the same decade.
Right. And it was 6 years later, which seems like forever ago in terms of how many things had changed in hip hop.
And also, like, being a kid, like, I'm like in 4th grade. Okay, now I'm in 10th grade. So like, I'm a different human as well.
Right. You're a different human. Hip hop had become more of a, like, by the mid 90s, listening to hip hop wasn't like something you had to do when your parents weren't around. Right. Like, there was enough rap music around that it was almost like, even for our parents, they were kind of like, so I guess clearly y'all are going to be listening to rap music. So I'm not going to try to take it from you anymore because y'all all got it now.
Yeah.
And when you think about, like, I remember this very clearly, like, LL Cool J, Too Short, that was like, these guys are insane. You can't listen to this. This is the mid 80s. These dudes are cussing. These dudes are talking about sex a lot. Can't do it. And then I just remember going to play basketball with you guys, 92, 93. And in the background, somebody's playing the whole Dr. Dre Chronic album while we're playing basketball, and nobody's asking any questions. And you better believe it wasn't a radio editor to be found. Right. Yeah. And so it's just Dr. Dre all day long. Then Snoop Dogg comes out and it's just Snoop Dogg all day long. So for my time capsule, that's a really big shift for me. Like, from, man, I don't know if we're going to let you listen to this rap music, to everybody's listening to it anyway, whatever. And then to have Tribe exist in both of those universes, I didn't really get Tribe, or at least I didn't start counting them as the regular dude rappers, like the mascots for that, until the early 2000s.
Gotcha.
When people started doing it again, and I realized, like, oh, they're doing this on purpose. Like, they get it. They see things are headed back to the every rapper's got to be the biggest pimp, the biggest kingpin, the richest guy, or, like the Jay-Z thing, like, I'm a hustler, and I'm really not even really a rapper. Like, I'm just kind of rapping because I feel like rapping. But I don't really, I'm too cool for everything, including rapping, even though I rap for a living.
I made my first couple of millions before I even became a rapper.
Yeah, so, I mean, come on. I'm still spending money from 88, guys. Come on. Like, what we doing? Like, I'm rapping. But
Hey, Warner Brothers, that was a flop. Dude, we made that movie off Harry Potter Part 2 money. We're not worried about that.
Yeah.
That movie was financed through Harry Potter Part 2 money. We're not worried about it. So,
Yeah, we're not worried about it.
I'm still spending money from 1980. Yeah.
So you got that. Everybody's a kingpin. Everybody's a pimp. Everybody's a part of a conglomerate.
Or I'm killing people.
Yes, or I'm straight up killing people.
So, yes, I get what you're getting at. So, yes, with College Dropout, when Kanye West, when he came out in the early 2000s, that was like, oh, I'm the regular dude. And I remember when that album came out, it went from, like, just before that, like, anyone would go like, hey, I'm going to just do a kill somebody metaphor. It's just a kill somebody metaphor. Then it went from that to that stopped. So if you were talking about killing somebody, you really, like, it got to the point where it's like, dude, you're going to have to throw in a selling drugs in your raps at some point. Like, you got to throw it in there. And then once that College Dropout came out, that stopped. So if you did do that, it meant, no, I'm deliberately doing this. Like, it's not because I kind of think I'm supposed to be doing this. It's like, no, I want to be on this side of the fence. So, yeah, I do. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, things kind of that was kind of the beginning of the polarization. But at the same time, Captain Chicago decided, I'm going to also end rap segregation if there's any left, because I'm going to put all these people on songs together. So you're not going to be able to separate these people from each other. Like, we're all just dudes trying to rap. We rap about different stuff, but if we think you're a good rapper, I'm going to get you on these songs. Like, I'm going to do Mos Def and Freeway. Like, I'm going to do it.
and someone I feel like that should be grandfathered in, even though like he kind of said some things that people deem disrespectful to Tribe, was Lupe Fiasco. Because I think even before College Dropout, he was doing that Kick Push where he was kind of pushed like a regular dude. I'm just a regular dude rapping in the early 2000s.
Right.
Right.
And you
so
think
yeah,
he was
it was
right in that group too. And you think he was in that little group of human beings as well. So, because his first album, when is that first Lupe album? 05, 06? So he would have been right after, but he was with those guys, right?
And he's from Chicago.
Yeah, so that makes sense. But yeah, I wanted to talk about that piece of it, but I also just wanted to talk about the idea of, hey, it's 1990. Dudes are trying to live by all these different hip hop rules. You got to be super cool. You kind of got to decide, are you going to be the super rapper or are you going to be the cool rapper that's kind of like, again, Big Daddy Kane? Like, you're so cool, you can do whatever you want. Like, you're going to casually do this dance routine in the middle of your song. But like Tribe was like, no, we're just gonna be on the street, regular dudes walking down the street, looking in the camera, singing the song. And we got songs where we're doing some killer rapping, and sometimes we're on here we're trying to talk to a girl on the song, and that who cares? Because we're dudes, so this is what we're doing. And it's like, yeah. And I remember catching a whiff of that when they were out earlier, but I really got it, like you said, like early 2000s. I was like, oh, this is. And he's saying their name because he's like trying to evoke the feeling of what they were doing musically and just, hey, I'm a regular guy here. Ludacris is whatever he is. 50 Cent is whatever he is. Jay-Z's whatever he says he is this week. I'm just a regular dude from Chicago. I don't want to kill anybody. I just want to spend a bunch of money and talk to girls. And I ain't going to college either because this doesn't make sense for me because I'm not the right guy for college and probably a bunch of y'all aren't either. So check me out.
That debut album by Lupe Fiasco, Food and Liquor, it was released in 2006.
All right, that makes sense.
Just putting that on the record. Yeah.
That's a really good album.
Do you remember when Bonita Applebum was played heavily on MTV?
I mean, what? It was on UMTV Raps, right?
Yeah, UMTV Raps. I remember. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, because I never listened to the radio, so that was the only way I would have heard it. So that's how I knew about Left My Wallet in El Segundo, and that's how I knew about Bonita Applebum. So I probably heard that song every day while it was in rotation with my brother.
That makes sense. And, I was telling you guys before the show, too, it's like, hey, that remix I love, number one, because it had an Isley Brothers sample. And if you want to get me, sample the Isley Brothers and you got me. Because I love current tense, past tense, the Isley Brothers. So I heard that Between the Sheets sample and it got me immediately. And they played the remix with the Isley sample on the radio here in Houston like all the time. Like they played it almost as much, if not more, than the original version.
So tell me, who's doing the production on this?
Sheesh, man. I want to say they were all self-contained. So a lot of this was Q-Tip and a lot of it's really Q-Tip. It's everybody that's in the group. Let me go loud.
And this is from the album People's Instinctive Travels and the Paths of Rhythm.
Yeah, so this was Ali Shaheed too. So Shaheed was a big part of their stuff during that time as well. So it's like, man, him and Q-Tip, you think about the albums they made and some of the production and how much it influenced people once they went back and listened to it. They were like, we just need to do this and see if anybody notices that we're doing exactly this. So and they got Dilla. They had Dilla by the mid-90s. So Dilla is probably a bigger part from the 96 album. That's when they got Dilla because you could see where the drums, because Dilla has real signature drums, the timing of the drums, because his drums are what some people call late drums. But yeah, before that, they didn't have that. It was really just Ali Shaheed and Q-Tip.
That was something else I learned while I was going through this. A Tribe Called Quest's journey. I didn't know that they were linked up with Jay Dilla.
Ah, yeah.
Out of Detroit.
So think about this. So that's mid 90s. And I always make up excuses to talk about Common's Like Water for Chocolate album. And you can't say anything to me that's bad about D'Angelo's Voodoo either. Well, that's 2000. Well, the producers on that is Dilla, the Soulquarians, which is basically, Q-Tip, Questlove, the Roots guys. Like, so Q-Tip and them ended up being involved in like two of the most influential albums for that era of music, like ever. Like, so many people take things and try to do things from Voodoo, and I always tell people like Water for Chocolate is the forefather to Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly, because it's like this ensemble album with all these musicians, all these people coming in and just trying to lace this guy, because it's, it was great because Questlove did like extensive internet type ups and album notes. And so he explained like the logic behind why they tried to work with Common, what they wanted to do with Common, and how they all just tried to give their best stuff to him, to say kind of almost like what we just talked about with TV on the radio is like, man, more people need to know who this guy is. So we're going to make this guy, like, we're going to furnish him the best music he's ever rapped over. And we hope that this will work and get more people in this, to understand, like, you need to be paying more attention to Common. And it worked, because, I mean, this guy got a chance to make a bunch of albums and be an actor. And it's kind of funny to think about it now, like, nobody knowing who Common is. And he was already, 3 albums in.
When he was Common Sense.
Yeah.
And ever since I made that money, I haven't rapped like Common Sense.
Yeah, like, think about that. You got guys like being compared negatively to Common, and they're like, hey, wait a minute, guys. I would rap like him, but I got too much money, you can't be trying to hold me to those type of standards because I decided to make money. And it's like, yeah, I hear you, Jay-Z. I love you, but cope all you want. But you heard Jay-Z like Water for Chocolate and know you got outclassed too.
So, yeah, we have Pine Time. He said this in the Discord. He's doing this. Pine Time is doing a 1990, not 1990s, but a 1990 journey of reviewing albums. Yeah. Pine Time wrote, this one felt like a warm, chill vibe that envelops you in a silky smooth blend of music and verse that is distinctively Tribe, and yet it is no less powerful than Fear of a Black Planet, one of my other favorite albums from 1990. There is a reason this group is considered a legend, and this masterpiece of an album is a clear example of why. A true giant that can stand toe-to-toe with any great record from any era in any genre. It's smart, funny, thought-provoking, infectious, and still sounds great. Yeah, this is 1990. The album People's Instinctive Travels in the Paths of Rhythm by A Tribe Called Quest. And so Bonita Applebum was on the debut album, Arthur?
Yeah.
Dang.
And they went straight from that into Can I Kick It on the same album, which is unreal. And the song before that was I Left My Wallet in El Segundo. So that is a nice little section on that first album, man. Those guys were in a zone. And then you think they were a part of a collective. Again, think about that, right? It was them, the Jungle Brothers, and De La Soul. And so they also had the Buddy remix, which is another one of these, hey, we're just some regular dudes trying to do come-ons to talk to girls. And so I remember when people used to try to segment rappers or artists in general and say, well, you're this type of artist, therefore you can only make these types of songs. And I think the thing that I noticed as I got older is like you could see these guys rebelling against those tropes at the time, trying to not be pigeonholed, because that's kind of the whole point of being an artist, right? You want to be able to make the type of music you want to make. You don't want to be just the chick song guy. You don't want to be just the I got to rap as super as hard as I want to for 45 minutes every single time. Like you want to be a full-fledged artist that's allowed to do your own thing. And I think it's really interesting and exciting to see like that's why Tribe is so important, right? Because for hip hop, this was something that people were really struggling with, because you're talking about 1990. Like, it's adorable now, but 1990, shoot, people were still talking about hip hop like it was just going to go away.
Right. Oh, that's a fad.
Oh, yeah, that's a fad. Yeah, people are going to stop doing this. They're going to run out of beats to steal. They're going to run out of stuff to say. They're not singing. What are they doing? Yeah, little do you know now. I mean, yeah, now everybody's got a little rapping mixed in with their stuff now, almost. And, like, there's so much more to say. But you needed those boundaries to kind of be broken. And so Tribe was one of those groups that did that and said, hey, we're gonna do the stuff. We're gonna do non-circular stuff. We're gonna be nerdy. Like you say, they're gonna be funny. They're gonna try to do come-ons to girls. They're gonna do the super duper rapping. And by the way, yeah, the production is gonna be top shelf. These drums are gonna be crazy. The samples are gonna be crazy. And yeah, like, something that I love about sample-based hip-hop music is when I listen to music that has samples in it, it's almost like my way to listen to two songs at once. It's like a way that my mind cheats to give me even more enjoyment out of these songs. So when I hear Bonita Applebum, I hear Daylight too. Like I hear the sample too. And sometimes I'll make these playlists for myself because, you know, everybody thinks they're the best playlist maker, but I might actually be that. And like I'll make these playlists where it's like, yeah, I'll have the sample right before or right after. And I'm just like riding down the street and it's not a big jarring thing for me. Like, because that's like those songs get an additional life for me because it's like, man, I got the hip hop version of the song and I got the 70s jazz song that got sampled or the random 80s hit that got sampled. And it's like I could just play those back to back and take myself on a little quick musical journey through two different periods of time. So I really love that. And yeah, Tribe is really good at that as well.
Man, Bonita Applebum. Any lines from this that, you know, you find smooth or funny?
Well, it's funny because of the way they delivered it. So he starts with like a verbal come on and not like rapping. He's like, do I love you? Do I lust for you? Am I a sinner because I do the two? Can you let me know right now, please? And then he spends 4 more minutes, you know, trying to rap to her and all that, right? But like being with you is a top priority. Ain't no need to question the authority. It's like, what are you doing? But it's just like, this is the point. Like, it's kind of playful, but it's like, hey, by the way, like I'm taking up a whole song to try to talk to you, so you know I'm serious.
So I remember this time period where it's like, yeah, it's a different world. The spinoff from the Cosby Show where Denise goes to Hillman College, right?
Yeah.
You get, and it was like some Positive Brother, you know, remember the Positive Brother? We were getting the Positive Brother beat poet type stuff. It seems like this Christmas everybody's rapping. My name is Kwame. And I think even in that song, you remember that? My name is Kwame. I think in that they were kind of like poking fun of the Positive Brother beat poet at a coffee shop thing. I think. And it seemed like that's what this is doing, like it's spoken word, all that. And by going through a Tribe's catalog, I was like, oh, I was also hearing MF Doom. And in one of the Victor Vaughn MF Doom album, the ongoing runner throughout the album, they're at a beats poet coffee shop thing. And it's like they're kind of poking fun of it or whatever is being pretentious. So that's steady ongoing. Whereas that's kind of interesting to do that. I'm not saying that they weren't being earnest while they were doing it, but that's kind of interesting because that was in the height of that being a thing. So I don't know if it was taking the piss. I don't know. This record is kind of interesting because it's spoken word. It's a vibe. You know, we were in like middle school or wherever when this came out. It would have been very interesting to see like being 21, 22 out somewhere and this is playing.
Yeah, and you think we weren't old enough to catch it at that point. But you're right. I mean, Different Worlds a few years before this had started. And, you know, we could do a whole episode about that show and kind of what it put in people's minds about the idea of going to college. And I think it installed the idea of a bunch of people going to college that might not have gone if that show didn't exist. But, you know, another story for another time.
Rayon shirts.
Rayon shirts. Big baggy rayon shirts, and then the ones with the 8 ball on them.
Yeah, a flat top with a patch of gold hair, blonde hair.
Yeah, I don't know who was that, man. We didn't have no money for that, man. But yeah, I know people were doing it, man.
Yeah, but, I don't know if they were saying like A Tribe Called Quest really brought to the forefront like wearing the African medallion.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, it's like they did it, but they came at it from a different angle than like a Public Enemy, right? Because Public Enemy was really trying to make sure that message got out, and they were being aggressive on purpose. Whereas you think Tribe is, again, like they're disarming people with their regularness.
Yes.
But you think about this, right? Like these are supposed to be the nice guys. And like, so let's go through this second verse. 38, 24, 37. So he's talking body dimensions. Me and you, hun, we're a match made in heaven. I like to kiss you where some brothers won't. Wait a minute. I like to tell you things some brothers don't. And it's like, yeah, this is like he's going for the gold on this. He's like, please, like she doesn't seem interested enough. So I got to really go for this. But I remember this part, even as a kid, I was like, ooh, this is crazy. Satisfaction, I have the right tactics. And if you need them, I got crazy prophylactics.
Here we go.
You can't, if we're going to talk about lyrics from a song and this is the song, how do you not get to that lyric? And I remember there was talk about having to censor that, and because you didn't want to hear rappers talking about, you know, condoms. But yeah, he worked that in there to get a tactics prophylactics rhyme in there. And so this is top shelf lyricism, man. This 1990, man. He could have just cat hatted that. He didn't have to do that.
Yeah, Q-Tip, he's a genius because his delivery on the song, you listen to it and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, of course. But that's not an of course. It was a choice that he chose, and it was right. And he made
still
a
got
little
the
classic
syllables
record.
Yeah, and it's like you think about people love the concept of multi-syllable rhyme schemes, but this song is disarmingly sneaky. Like, there's not a lot of lyrics, but he managed to do some rhyming in here. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, this is him taking it easy and still getting the point across, right? Because I think that's the other challenge when people talk about the art form of hip-hop is to say, okay, if you get super duper complex with the rapping, people may not get the message to what you're saying.
You're being too dense right now.
You like you say, you're being too dense, and you turn people off that don't want to hear all the lyrics, and they're not gonna take the time to go to Genius and look up the lyrics or whatever. But
spiritual lyrical,
he managed to pull that off and get some lyrics in there. But there's no way you would hear that song and be like, I got no idea what he's talking about. Like, it's like, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's very clear. Like, you try to talk to this girl, and you're throwing the big guns that are saying as much as you think a regular dude could say to try to get a girl to be interested in him out of nowhere.
And as a performer, he's not getting it in the way of the record.
Right. Which is also a talent more so than people want to understand.
Yes. Wow. Yeah. Final thoughts about, or what else you got in your notes, Arthur, about this Bonita Applebum?
Yeah, we can go to the final notes, man. I think hip hop needed a lot of growth, and it's crazy to view this song as a rebellious song, considering the topic now and considering what's happened in the 35 years since then. But this was a choice. This was a set of choices that these guys had to make. Because, like, you think around this same period of time, like I talked about Big Daddy Kane earlier, but remember he had, like, the hip-hop community was looking at him sideways when he showed up with Madonna. They're like, man, you can't do that. Like, what are you trying to be a sex symbol? No, you don't get to do that. You got to, no, you got to stay in the lane we want you to stay in. And it wouldn't seem like it'd be the right thing to credit Tribe with helping break some of that stuff, but I just see the value in just dudes showing up saying, nah, man, I'm going to be a bunch of stuff at once because that's what human beings are. And the more you have an art form where people are allowed to be human beings, the better type of music you can get, the more variance you can get in the music. And that variance, in my opinion, is why hip-hop is still alive. Because if everybody had to be the biggest drug dealer or the coolest guy from your neighborhood, how many neighborhoods are there? How many guys are actually the coolest guy in the neighborhood? Like this, how long would hip-hop, and you got to be able to rap too? Like how long would hip-hop would have made it if you couldn't have had dudes showing up like, hey, man, I'm a regular dude. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. I got stuff that I care about. I'm going to put it on the record. Hopefully you like some of this stuff. Like some of the rappers that people love the most, not just, you know, Kanye before Kanye turned into Kanye of now, but like there's a lot of regular dude rapping going on. And even when you deal with the character rappers now, even they have segments of their albums and segments of their discography where they're like, hey, by the way, I'm a regular guy too. Because think about, we joked about Jay-Z, right? But you think when people talked about him being this guy that was willing to get personal, where he takes off the facade and says like, hey, look, man, like I'm not ignoring all this negative stuff you guys are saying about me. I get why you're doing it, but I wish you would kind of stop. Like you think about the Blueprint, like the end of that album, not the bonus tracks, but the end of that album, like he had to make a song basically for himself to say like, my mom loves me. Like he had to stop his album to say, hey guys, all the stuff y'all are trying to put on me, like let me keep it simple. Like I have no idea. Like I think I deserve to be here, but I'm just a regular dude. I went through some rough stuff. I had some tough things happening in my life. I'm looking at it like I came out on the other side. And really, guys, no matter what, like my mom loves me. Because so I'm a regular guy, too. But, you know, I'm also too cool to be a rapper and all that other stuff. Don't forget. But, hey, I look at it like these Tribe Called Quest albums and moments allowed these, even the character rappers to kind of take the mask off from time to time and kind of show you, like, underneath all that, I'm just a dude trying to make it. And I think that's some of the best rap music we ever get is when more artists just do that. Like, this is really what I'm thinking about. This is really what I'm worried about. And I think now we've gotten to a better point where we will reward artists for doing that more now.
Yeah, especially like if they're able to get to us, then yes, then we're able to reward them, where there are a lot of folks, they would do that and they would kind of go by the wayside. That's why I think a lot of them should be grandfathered in.
I agree. I mean, it's a good concept. Maybe we should come up with a list of people that should be grandfathered in. Maybe we need to get people to send us a list of people that need to be given that credit because they sacrificed and maybe they didn't get everything they should have gotten out of it. But it's funny now, there's a whole subgenre of rappers that say that, right? Like, hey, I sacrificed for y'all and I'm coming back to get my pound of flesh. Like Rock Marciano is like the heavyweight champion of that, right? Like, hey, I made New York rap when people got tired of making New York rap. So now people can do it again. They can do it again because of me. Yeah.
Where are you going? I'm going to collect my reward. So hey, any genre, write to us at ontherecordjams@gmail.com. Tell us someone where you feel like they should be grandfathered in. That, you know, they didn't get their flowers when they, so maybe I'll try to come up with someone and you try to come up with someone like each episode. Someone who should be grandfathered in segment. Yeah. Okay. Where are some other places they can reach us, Arthur?
Well, we got On The Record Jams on Twitter. We got otrj.bsky. We got On The Record Jams on Facebook. So we got On The Record at gmail.com. Like we got a few different places where we can be found at. So get to us and we'll get back to you. Keep the conversations going.
Yeah, I'll put all that in the show notes. Arthur, thank you for indulging me in this because I had a lot of fun preparing for this show and having this conversation with you. Yeah, please write in, join the conversation. This is a lot of fun. And guys, hey, keep your lamplight trimmed and burning.
And keep jamming.